Welcome to the Afterpop. Hopefully, you're here because you heard our episode with Doug Sandridge, which was the Landman for Land Back episode. But the question is, have you seen the show Landmen? If you have, you probably picture a rough, no-nonsense guy in cowboy boots cutting shady oil deals. And if you haven't seen the show, no worries. We're here to set the record straight. The truth is, oilfield landmen aren't what Hollywood makes them out to be. They're not all backroom dealmakers or corporate bulldogs. In fact, they play a critical role in making energy projects happen. I recently spoke with Doug Sandridge, a veteran landman with 49 years in the industry. He's virtually seen it all and lived in multiple different countries. And today, we're going to be breaking down what landmen actually do and why they matter in the energy world. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a landman? In simple terms, a landman is like the bridge between energy companies and landowners. They do the research, they negotiate the deals, and they make sure everything is legally squared away before a company drills for oil or gas. The skill sets landmen possess can go far beyond oil and gas. They can actually reach the entire energy sector. That's why I think Doug is such a good advocate of energy. He's able to see the big picture in terms of land use and energy use and capacity. Doug also mentioned that in order to expand nuclear, we're going to need a larger workforce in order to be able to do it. He notes that the oil and gas industry might be one of the best industries to step into nuclear because they already have the ability to work on big projects, large contracts, and build construction sites on time, on budget, even in remote areas. The job of a landman involves researching land titles and ownership records, negotiating mineral rights leases, ensuring companies follow legal and environmental regulations, and managing relationships between landowners, corporations, and government agencies. Because energy projects don't just happen. They require land, permits, legal approvals, and a whole lot of negotiation. That's where landmen come in. Let's take a real-world example. Say an oil company wants to drill on private land. The landman steps in to 1. Research who owns the mineral rights, because in the US, surface ownership and mineral rights aren't always the same thing. 2. Negotiate with the landowners to lease those rights. And 3. Make sure the lease follows state and federal laws. Without landmen, there would be no new oil wells, no gas pipelines, and no expansion of energy infrastructure. And guess what? The same applies to nuclear. If we want to build small modular reactors or new nuclear plants, we're going to need lots of people who understand land acquisition, permitting, and regulatory frameworks. Throughout this season, we've talked a little bit about energy, ethics, and land use. My takeaway is pretty simple. Treat the owners of the land with respect. Treat the natural world with respect. Do things by the book. Protect the people. And make energy as affordable as possible. So while some people might see oil and gas as the enemy of nuclear, the reality is these industries are more connected than you might think. So let's step further into ethics. Because landmen don't just work with corporations, they also work with indigenous groups and communities that have long histories with the land. This is where things have gotten complicated. Historically, energy development has not always been fair to indigenous communities. From uranium mining on Navajo lands to oil drilling and wind farms in Oklahoma, many tribes have faced exploitation. But things are changing. More tribes are actively negotiating fair energy deals on their own terms. The Land Back movement, for example, is pushing the return of historically indigenous lands. Doug actually wrote about this in relation to Diablo Canyon, the last nuclear power plant in California. The YTT tribe, part of the Chumash people, is fighting to get land back that was taken centuries ago. But despite support from PG&E, California lawmakers have stalled the process. According to Doug, the YTT tribe is not asking for a handout. They're asking for the opportunity to get their land back. They've lined up funding and have a plan to manage it responsibly. They just need the state to stop interfering. And in a way, we now have landmen from the oil and gas side taking their skills and applying it to new industries like the nuclear industry. Doug's written 2 fabulous articles on his Substack about this topic. And I think his insights with energy give such good depth and detail as to the land usage and why all of this matters. I believe this is a skill landmen possess because they have to understand all of the different variables when bringing energy into a community. So, where does all this go from here? Will landmen still be around in the future, or will technology replace them? The reality is, landmen aren't going anywhere. As long as we need land for energy projects, whether it's drilling, pipelines, or nuclear reactors, there will always be a need for skilled negotiators who can navigate the complex web of ownership, law, and business. And who knows? Maybe some of the landmen working in oil and gas today will transition into nuclear as the energy grows. Doug says he thinks we'll see oil and gas companies getting into nuclear because they have the expertise to develop large energy projects, and landmen will have a role in making that happen. So let's sum it all up. Landmen are energy dealmakers. They secure land, negotiate leases, and handle the legal work. They're not just for oil and gas, their skills applied to nuclear and renewables too. The future of nuclear could actually depend on energy veterans like landmen bringing their expertise into new industries. Lastly, but most importantly, we need to be ethical in how we approach energy development. That means respecting land rights, engaging with communities fairly, and making sure the future of energy is built on solid ground, literally and figuratively. If you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. If you want to dive deeper, check out the show notes where I've linked Doug's articles on this topic. Thanks again for listening to Season 1 of Naked Nuclear, and I hope you stay tuned for next month, where we'll be bringing you stories of women in the industry for Women's History Month. Until next time, stay curious.